Well, I often tell my students in exploring Judaism that many lessons in Jewish history relate to the two temples of ancient Jerusalem and their destruction. And this week in the Torah, we read a little history of those ancient temples, all about the cult of sacrifice. The details are spread out for us. We are told what types of sacrifices are offered, when they can be brought, by whom, and so on. Ultimately, we modern readers are reminded of the primary role these sacrifices played in antiquity. They were the mode by which our ancestors worshiped God, and the temple in Jerusalem was the center of religious life. So when it was destroyed, not once, but twice, by all rights, Judaism could have disappeared. A cataclysm that large might have spelled the end of any great nation, and indeed, many of the great civilizations of the world have disappeared. But not Judaism. We are all sitting here as proof. Judaism has endured. We are right to be fascinated then by the question that Leviticus raises for us this week. Given the centrality of the temples in Jerusalem, how on earth did Judaism survive without sacrifices? The first thing that the scholarship points to is striking. Our ancestors did not cling irrationally to the past. It was the urgent dawn of a new era, and the rabbis were forced to imagine Judaism in a diaspora without a temple. They brilliantly reimagined and reformed Judaism into a tradition where study and not sacrifice would guide, connect, and anchor their people. It was the story and the study of that story that would become the most important dimension of Jewish life. The rabbis literally transformed our ancestors and their descendants to come into the now common description, people of the book. They invented institutions like synagogues and schools that could be erected anywhere, taught in everywhere, and which would sustain our community. Along with study, the rabbis offered prayer and charity and acts of kindness and hospitality as substitutes for sacrifice. A new Judaism was born where our values manifested differently than through sacrificial ritual. We never forget how our ancestors first worshiped. We still honor and reflect on the temple. The traditional prayer services, Shacharit, Mincha, Ma'ariv, Musaf, these are all names or types of ancient sacrifices. Every year on Tisha B'Av, we mourn the destruction of both temples. Every time a glass is broken at a Jewish wedding, we also recall the destruction in the history of our people. And the idea of one specific sacrifice still permeates all of Judaism, the Thanksgiving offering, giving gratitude to God for our lives. Today, the traces of this idea are widespread in prayer. You'll recognize Birkat HaGomel is the blessing of gratitude recited on specific occasions. And Modeh Ani is our daily expression of thanksgiving, just for waking up again. In all services, we offer thanks through psalms and prayers, and the prayers express the way we view the world as Jews. The Hebrew word todah, meaning thank you, shares the same root with the word Yehudi, which means Jew. To be Jewish is to offer thanks, to find things to be grateful for, to have perspective on our blessings, and we are urged to do this constantly. Now, my kids will tell you I take this entirely too far. When they don't like what's for dinner, I will point out, thankfully, we will have dinner again tomorrow. And when they have a cold, thankfully, their arm is not broken. And when their arm is broken, thankfully, both arms are not broken. Judaism encourages us to focus on the blessings in our life. How lucky are we to have this mandate? Psychology teaches us gratitude improves our health. reduces toxic emotions, helps us sleep better, and fends off depression. A person who says thank you often has stronger interpersonal relationships. And moral philosophy teaches us that inherent in gratitude is a desire to respond. When we are grateful because things have gone our way in life or we were shown kindness, we have a natural feeling to want to give back and to help others in turn. And maybe that's the point. When God made a promise to Abraham, listen to what he said. I will make you into a great nation and I will bless you. I will make your name great and you will be a blessing. God wants Abraham to know right away that being blessed and becoming a blessing are thoroughly linked. Who among us isn't grateful that we didn't have to make Hamantashen and hear the Megillah in an underground basement apartment in a war-torn country? We all saw those images, and who among us hasn't already tried to help? Every parent who blesses their children on Shabbat wants them to feel blessed, yes, but also inspired to fulfill their destiny as Jews and make the world better for others. Every class in the Center for Exploring Judaism has started the same way for 12 years, simcha sharing. We share something that we're grateful for, and we don't get into our lesson until everyone has had a chance to share. We don't let a week go by without pointing out the good in our lives. This congregation knows that my gratitude for the Center for Exploring Judaism knows no bounds. Along with Rabbis Davis and Crystal, welcoming people to Jewish life is the highlight of my profession. I feel so blessed to get to do this work. I am ever grateful for our students' interest in Judaism, their willingness to learn, their courage and devotion in joining us. It is an understatement to say that they are a blessing. At this moment, our future does not depend on finding substitutes for sacrifice. It does depend on how we welcome newcomers into our community. The borders of Judaism are not fixed and are expanding to welcome an ever-diverse population. These new Jews are part of the future that those rabbis imagined long ago, and how lucky are we to be able to count them among our ranks.